Okay, what the freak? The studio's falling apart now. Literally nothing. Okay, no. Dude, I'm so crash out prone tonight. I'm so no flipping way. It just started dropping. Yep, can't do it. Can't do it, guys. I tried my hardest. I tried my very hardest. I can't do this. Just won't work. Just won't work. Sorry, guys. I did try my hardest. I really did, I promise. I would have loved to do a show today. I was excited to do it. Very excited. Very excited to get into the news. Ooh, that was loud. Very excited to get into the news to get into the news. To get into the news, to be able to talk to all of you guys, to be able to chat about some of the most crazy, wacky stuff. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Epstein Files, Bubba. Many are talking about Bubba. What's going on with Bubba? Something sus. Unfortunately, today it's not happening. It's not happening. God does not will it. And that's okay. Hey, who are we? Who are we to will anything other than what God wills? That is human hubris. So I drink my water. I take a swig. No swig joke. No Utah swig joke intended. Man, it's really lagging really bad. Maybe I just got to turn my bit rate down. You know, maybe that's what it is. Turn down my bit rate. Drop it to like, what's 1800? Drop the bit rate to 1800. Nothing has gone wrong in this one so far other than slightly choppy video, but the audio has been clear. Well, the choppy video drives me nuts, I will say. If the audio's... That's the other thing I don't get. Why is the audio bad sometimes and other times it's the video that's bad? I don't know, guys. There really is nothing more frustrating in the world than technology. You know what the problem is? The problem with technology is the fact that you are so removed from the actual, reins of power. You're removed from control. You don't control your own destiny. You think about all the people who died in the meltdown of the nuclear reactor at Chernobyl. You think about all the people that died, their lives, their destinies were not in their hands. It was some idiot. It was a couple idiots, maybe. There's a couple idiots that didn't do their job quite as well as they should have, and tens of thousands of people died or had adverse health effects. And, Ted Kaczynski, not to bring up the big man again, but Ted Kaczynski talks about this. He says, the primitive man, he comes face to face with a lion, and surely he is up for it to a tough fight, to a challenge. But his destiny remains in his hands. His fate remains in his hands. He will live or die by his own hands. He will die as a result, at least in a more direct sense, of his own actions. Whereas the modern man, oh man, I got like an eyelash in my throat. The modern man, however, what's up, Lord Dalton? Good to see you. The modern man, however, is far removed from the people who actually are going to determine the way that he lives and dies. If you're in government, if you're in politics, you exert a greater amount of control. You have greater autonomy. You decide a little bit more what kind of things you want to have happen in your society and in your own life. But if you're just a guy, you're a tradesman or any other, white collar worker, blue, my collar's blue, white or blue collar, then your life, your children's lives are being decided by somebody far, far, far up the stream from you. You may die because politicians who you don't even know and will never meet had disagreements. And I think that is the real tragedy of the technological industrial system is you do become a cog in the machine. I understand this may be a dramatic extrapolation of the current predicament we find ourselves in, which is that the stream is buffering. I may be a little bit dramatic, but it's the micro and the macro. In the micro, I can't control the stream. I can't really control my ability to communicate with you guys. Forces greater than me are hindering or enabling me to do so. And in the macro, I may die because we decided to get too involved with countries in the Middle East. Man. And I still feel, I still feel in my heart of hearts that the stream will fix itself. Because it always does. Because there is always one point. There's always one point where the stream, what it does is it fixes itself. Hey, how the freak? Oh, there we go. At some point, maybe I got to pull up the task manager. Maybe I got to look at this and say, hey, what's using up all this power? Hey, what's using up all this power? And it says, okay, there's a lot of power usage, but what about the bandwidth? I think I'm the only person in my house using the internet. So I don't, and that is, I think, the worst thing. The worst thing is the unpredictability, or what's the word? Is it unpredictable? Unpredictability. That's the worst thing. The worst thing is that there's no rhyme or reason. There's no trend. If anything was consistent, I'm fine. I'm fine with things when they're consistent. I'm fine with them, even if they don't make sense. Even if I have no idea why. If they're consistent, we're good. If I was logging into stream and every fifth stream crashed or had these terrible bugs of audio or video, that would be fine with me. I could sit down, I could say, every fifth stream is going to have this problem. I don't understand it. I don't care. I'll get past it. But it is the issue of unpredictability. It is the fact that this happens without rhyme or reason that drives me up the walls. There are a few things that frustrate me so much. And it's because I want to share amazing things with you guys. It's because these technical difficulties, I'm like a true autist. Unless everything is in its right place, Radiohead reference, unless everything is in its right place, I'm bugged, I'm irked, I'm tweaking. And I just can't bear it. I just can't bear to tweak. We were going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. We were going to talk about the schism in the right wing. We were going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about why it is so difficult to support Donald Trump. And it's, frankly, I want to say I'm very sympathetic to people on the right wing who say that we ought to support the president. And frankly, I do. I want the president to succeed. It's like Curtis Lewa says, I want the mayor to succeed because if the mayor succeeds, we all succeed. I want Trump to be everything he campaigned on. I want things to go based. I want these things to work out. I want him to be great. I'm not praying on his downfall. But it is also, it is foolish to allow yourself to be whipped and punished and betrayed time and time again. And I was thinking about that. I was reflecting about that. I thought about this actually a little bit longer ago concerning Tucker Carlson. There's videos of Tucker Carlson from when he was younger where he was based. And then he became not based. And now he's based again. I'm dumbing down the whole kind of development of the ideology, right? But let's say, this guy goes from being like a true conservative, a traditionalist. Then he became a libertarian. Then he became a true conservative again. There is something that we don't talk about enough, which is if you're based, in my opinion, you actually don't get a lot of wiggle room. If you're not based, if you haven't figured these things out, if you're interacting with certain ideas like immigration restriction, both legal and illegal, different views and perspectives about marriage, about traditional gender roles, about the markets, about tariffs, about trans ideology. If you are encountering or engaging with these ideas for the first time, or you were never red pilled, there's a ton of leniency. Hey, we were all there. All of us were like minarchists or libertarians or even leftists at some point. There are public officials who are leftists at some point, who were. But if you're somebody like Trump who in 2016 can say all of these amazing things, in 2020 and 2024, if you can do all of these things, and then you switch, and then you start saying things that are totally contrary to the principles you ran on, not only does it show that you're not a true believer, you don't believe the things that you're talking about, but it is also just like, it's a little wrong. It's very wrong, in fact, I would venture to say. It is very wrong to like have perspectives that you believe are truly going to change the country for the better, with these consequences that are large, that are, civilizational, and then just to switch, and then switch back. It shows you to be an opportunist. And this is not a movement of opportunists. Sure, we strike at every cool opportunity we get to do excellent things. It's not to say you shouldn't take up opportunities as they come, but it is to say don't be an opportunist in the sense that you'll morph. Don't be a shapeshifter. In 2020, I had a political awakening. I became a quote-unquote paleo-conservative. I left libertarian ways of thinking, minarchism, and I never turned back. I've never even considered it. It's a ridiculous proposition that I would ever go back to what I was thinking before. But yet these political pundits who have been in the game for 40 years, or somebody like Donald Trump who has now run 3 campaigns, they flip-flop on these issues. I don't know if I'm seeing something that maybe they didn't, but there's a lot of these issues that you can never go back on. Once you recognize the importance of boosting the fertility rate, once you recognize the way that immigration is replacing native-born Americans, once you recognize these things, there's not any other worldview or, political or moral philosophy that is going to make that less true. There's just not. I think that's a huge problem. I don't think we're tough enough on people who were based, went cringe, and got based again. And that's what's so frustrating, man. Like, I would say, I don't know how long I'll make this because it's still cutting out a little bit. But you just don't, you don't get to do that. You don't get to like flip-flop. These are not issues where you wake up on one side of the bed or the other and you change your mind. No, these are issues that destroy or save civilizations. The way that you destroy or save a civilization is not going to change based on, what's popular today or what's in Reuters or what's in the news or what is trending on TikTok among young people. It doesn't change like that. And I'm sick of just this disregard. I'm sick of people who underestimate that. If I'm Donald Trump, if I campaigned on restricting immigration, and then I turn around and I say, well, actually, no, we do need some we need some illegal immigrants and legal immigrants for, agricultural or like hotel work, agricultural labor and labor in service industries. And then I turn back around and I say, well, actually, no, I take it back. You don't get to do that. I can't trust you. I think this is the problem. We just can't trust Donald Trump. LDS philosophy in this sense is really compelling to me. Not to tie like a religious topic into the, talking about Donald Trump, but there's different ways of looking at God and laws that exist. I tend to believe that laws spring forth from God, eternal laws, right? But we also read, particularly in the Book of Mormon, that there are laws that are co-eternal, laws of justice, laws of mercy. This talks about there being an absolute morality, right? An eternal law. And it says if God broke these laws, he would cease to be God. And to a lot of people, that's like, whoa. That's kind of a crazy thing. Like God would cease to be God. That seems almost blasphemous. But ask yourself, what kind of faith is it if the faith that you have is being applied to an untrustworthy or an unworthy being, right? And this is not to say, this is not to disparage or seem blasphemous or anything like that towards God or faith or anything. It is to say that we can be so staunch and so rooted in our faith in God because we know that he will never betray those laws. We know that he is perfectly just, that he is perfectly merciful. We know that he perfectly will always align himself with these eternal laws, or rather, he is always aligned with them, just by the nature of his being. And that's why we can place the faith in him, is because we know that these eternal laws and principles are always true. If those changed, we would not be able to place the same amount of trust in him. Our faith would be shaken. If you can't trust God to be perfectly loving or perfectly merciful or perfectly just, you can't exercise real faith. Because you're worshiping a being unworthy of that. Maybe he's like the maximally powerful being. He has the maximal capacity of, or like just the maximal amount of a bunch of the most desirable traits. But then you don't love him and you don't worship him or have faith in him because you love him as your heavenly Father, as God, as the sovereign of the universe, right? You love him out of logical necessity. And that's not love. That's coerced. That's not really faith. That's coercion. I don't think true faith can exist alongside a being that cannot reliably be said to always adhere to these eternal laws or be, impossible to divorce from them, or a being rather who is possible to divorce from justice and mercy, right? So that's kind of a theological perspective there. But with Trump, to get to the micro, it's kind of the same deal. I can't trust him. And it's worse when he gets a blank check. He's not going to run for re-election. Presidents who don't run for re-election, they kind of go one of two ways. They either make as much money as possible and are self-aggrandizing and are doing all these things, blah, blah, blah. They're opportunists. Or they are true believers who are willing to lay it all on the table, who are willing to put it all on the table. These lame duck presidents, right? They're willing to put it all on the table to achieve the worldview they want. Did you see how Barack Obama and Joe Biden fought for Obamacare? I would love to see a Republican fight for some value the way that they did for Obamacare. It's like being gaslit. And it's tough because I do these Jubilee episodes. And what are the prompts? Donald Trump is a convicted felon. That's just true. I mean, he was held liable in a civil court, right? Obviously, leftists are going to attribute things and believe things that I would not agree with or that I would not think are as problematic. You guys will see this. We'll do a breakdown when the next Jubilee episode comes out. We'll do a breakdown of this idea because it's very obvious. It's very clear. But it's just like it's too easy to attack Trump. And I want to be clear. I am not the kind of person who says that we need to get rid of Trump because he has baggage. Part of what made Trump so successful, or rather part of what enshrined kind of MAGA, the change that MAGA provoked in the conservative movement, part of what caused that to be now etched in stone is the fact that he succeeded in spite of the baggage that he had. Every once in a while, you need somebody with problems to succeed in order to show people who actually don't care about morality or democracy or anything like that, that you don't care, that you're not going to listen to what they say. You're not going to listen to the nightly news. You're actually more worried about the sake of the country. But when you have somebody like Donald Trump who says, we're going to release the Epstein files. This is, Epstein files 1. We're going to have the second release. Second release never comes out. What happened with that? When you have somebody like Donald Trump or the vast majority of Republicans who are pushing the idea of this kind of sex trafficking or pedophilia ring within government for so long prior to 2024, all to abandon it, just to abandon it once Trump is in office because he doesn't want to talk about that issue. You know how difficult it becomes to defend Trump? The reason it's difficult is frankly because he makes it difficult. There's plenty of things that can be said. And that were the case in 2016. And Trump triumphed in spite of those things. Like the grab him by the, we all heard that tape. Was it good? Absolutely not. But was it important that he won in spite of that? Yes. In fact, Trump as a person was more powerful politically, at least in what he represents, because he won in spite of that. Rather than if he had been a DeSantis type character who, was just cleaner cut. I hate that. I don't like when there are attempts made to thwart authentic revolutionary movements in the conservative movement, like the MAGA movement in 2016, 2020, 2024, by saying, hey, well, this guy's good and all, but we just need somebody who's a little bit less edgy. I don't like that. And you guys know that I'm being serious about this, that I'm being honest, because I certainly am not one of the edgy people. I am not one of these, there's not a billion clips of me, saying the N-word or saying a bunch of terrible, damnable things on the internet, because I'm very cautious about that. There's a personal thing where I just don't, I just, in the way I am, I'm not a terribly provocative individual. I do a little trolling. We do a little trolling. We enjoy it. We have a little fun. That's okay. Hey, having fun is okay. Having fun is okay, okay? But even so, even being somebody who is not boisterous or who has nothing to gain by advocating for politicians with baggage winning office, even as somebody who has nothing to gain from them winning, from new limits or new boundaries in the Overton window or in the Republican Party being drawn, even as somebody like that, I believe it's important. Even as somebody like that, I look at the success that these totally canceled characters, these totally canceled individuals have had, and I applaud it. Because to a certain extent, that is what needs to occur. At a certain point, you need to be able to just say, I'm not even going to talk about what the New York Young Republicans were saying in a group chat, because I know you don't care. And frankly, I care a lot more about Jay Jones threatening to kill kids because he thinks they're fascist. Frankly, I care a lot more about the state of this country. And in 2016, what people said is, frankly, I care a lot more about how many millions of immigrants, legal and illegal, we get into the United States of America than I care about something that Trump said when he was talking hot mic behind closed doors about beautiful women. But all that aside, that will always be an Achilles heel. Particularly with issues of sexual immorality. I don't think it is in the long term feasible to have a party, a movement, or otherwise, or any kind of organization that is headed or supported by characters whose personal integrity is dubious. And it's tough. It's like you look at somebody like Matt Gaetz, Madison Cawthorn. These are people who wanted to do incredible things. We could have had Gaetz as Speaker of the House. Was that what he was pitched for? It was Speaker of the House, wasn't it? We could have had Gaetz in the cabinet, but it was episodes of sexual immorality that were ultimately the Achilles heel. And again, like, I think, what was he accused of? He had a promiscuous relationship with a 17-year-old, I think is what he's been alleged. That's what's alleged. That's what he's been accused of. Is that like the most terrible crime in the world? No, obviously not. Do Democrats care about that? No. If the Democrats had their way, every single kid under 18 would have already had, numerous sexual partners. And of course, the issue as well, but one's above age and one's below age. If it was up to Democrats, the age of consent would be 16. If we followed a European model, the age of consent, AG. Was it AG? Was it Attorney General? Yeah, AG. My apologies. It's been so long. That was also while I was gone, if I'm not mistaken. So I was kind of like clueless. Caught up about all this. That kind of threw me off. Now I don't know where I was going with that. But you guys kind of get the point. It's like, obviously the thing that he has been accused of or that's being alleged is not, he did not murder anybody. But the most important thing we need is integrity in personal life. And it's something that I'm striving very much. I am fighting tooth and nail to preserve my personal integrity. It is one of the things that I ought to value even more than I do. And you guys too. If you prioritize your personal integrity, if you could be the same person off the screen as you are on screen or in public or in private, and I know we're all very different actually, in public and in private, and that ought to be considered. There ought to be charity in these things. But it's like, if we are able to at least have a great degree of integrity, then we will be so much more powerful politically and spiritually. Do I think Trump is a pedophile? No, I actually don't. I don't believe that Trump is a pedophile. But is that going to matter at the end of the day? It's not. And I think Trump recognizes that. I think Trump sees, okay, my name is in these files, and he's nervous. Nobody wants to be named like 2,000 times in emails or correspondences related to like the biggest sex trafficker in the world. So, or at least the most infamous. But does it really matter what the content was? Not to Democrats, and not to many Republicans either. And that's, I think, the difficult thing. There's a large degree of the stuff that Democrats say about Trump. He's destroying the Constitution. It's like, well, yeah, but you don't care about the Constitution. Trump is a fascist. It's like, you don't even know what that means. You're not against the use of state force. There's all of these different things, right, that Democrats don't care about. But at the end of the day, it is just that Trump makes himself hard to defend. And if he was based and becomes cringe and gets based again, you just can't trust that. You just can't trust people who do that. Once you see the light, you've seen it. Once you've gotten out of the cave, not to go like all philosophy 100 on UMFs, but once you leave the cave and you see the light and you see this true world, this real world, you see the real tree, you see the real sun, you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, you truly wake up, you truly get red-pilled, you can never go back into the cave to score points with your buddies and then come back out when you please. If you start seeing these things, it's not as if they disappear. You've just become willfully ignorant of them. And I can't trust that. I just can't. And I also hate it. I hate that our politics has devolved into this. I hate that our politics has devolved just into this back and forth of like, well, Trump is based. Well, Trump's not. No, but he is based. But no, he's not. Like I said, it's the 24-hour rule. Whenever you see something that he says that seems based, wait 24 hours. If it's still like he said it was going to be, okay, go ahead, applaud him. But you also have to realize that the paradigm of like supporting the good things the president does and not supporting the bad things, or like calling him out on it, but not being subversive, but not being disloyal, that doesn't work. He doesn't care. How many times do we have to go through that rigmarole? How many times do we have to go through that same cycle until we eventually realize that things aren't changing? Because if he is willing to concede something that is so important for the future of the country, and then go back to being based, he's not earnest. We like Trump because he was earnest. We like Trump because he was serious. Because he did seem to care about these issues that nobody else was talking about. But now he's anything but. I don't know. And I think it just becomes very clear, and this is the title of the show, right? He's in the civil war with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's important that we move on from Trump. That we realize that what he talked about, what he started, must go further. And unfortunately, he doesn't realize that. I think his ego is very large, and I don't think he's willing to let anybody else do it. And look, I don't want Ron DeSantis. I don't want J.D. Vance to be Trump. But I also don't want these ideas to disappear. It's a tough situation we're in, kiddos. Tough situation. Man. And it's like the 600,000 Chinese students, the H-1B visa, the $100,000 a year for H-1B visa holders. There are 3 more years to go. Yeah, and what's going to happen is it's like, is year 2 going to be cringe, but then year 3 he's going to get based again? It's like we elected him to be based from the get-go, from the very get-go. I didn't elect him. I was in Argentina. My hands clean. My hands are clean. But yeah, man, I don't know. I reject the paradigm. I reject the plan trusting paradigm. I reject it. And yet, I want the president to succeed. And it's crazy because more and more people are thinking like this. This girl came up to me today at the... Also, what do you guys think of my haircut? What do you guys think? What do you guys think, though? Little flow in the back? Little flow? Little wave? The mustache is starting to come in a little bit. It's a little bit of a work in progress. My bad. A little bit of a distraction there. Forgot to mention it at the top of the show. Figured I'd get to it now. Reasonable, I believe. And if you guys do want to support the show, we'll do this like brief intermission. If you guys do want to support the show, be sure to send in a super chat to powerchat.live/kaiclips. The best place to go ever, actually, to support the show if you want, if you care to. Make sure to send it to your friends, family. Send me money for Christmas, for my birthday coming up in just over a month. Whoa. But yeah, it's like, look, it's a problem, man. I reject the paradigms. But I was talking to this girl at the SCC, the State Central Committee, the gathering of Republicans, where we vote about a bunch of stuff, where I figure out that Robert's rules actually do exist outside of congressional debate, and I'm very thankful to have learned them. And I'm there, and this woman asks me, well, what do you think are kind of the big issues with young people? What do you think they're thinking of Trump? And I say, I think we all realize that, the MAGA movement has outgrown Trump. It's bigger than he is, and he needs to let it go a little bit. And we are more interested in some of the stuff that's not being mentioned. We don't think he's done enough of what he campaigned about. And again, we have the judiciary, the executive branch, the legislative branch. Judicial, executive, and legislative branch is all under Republican control. And what, by the way, okay, sorry, another tangent. Some of these Republican governors, because they're so principled, because they are so righteous, are not fighting these battles of redrawing district lines in their states in order to improve the odds of Republican victory in the House. This starts with Greg Abbott. It starts in Texas. It goes to Utah. It goes to California. It goes to Georgia, I believe. And you now have these efforts made all across the country, both by Democrats and Republicans, to redraw district boundaries in their states in order to gerrymander, basically, or to make it easier for their party to be represented in the House. I think Texas is attempting to add like 6 districts. That, of course, starts this spiral, this chain and domino effect that causes states like California under Gavin Newsom to begin doing the same thing, trying to take districts from Republicans and give them to Democrats. And you have some Republican, I've only ever heard this from Republicans, by the way. I haven't heard this from any Democrat governor. But Republicans are willing to say, well, I'm actually not going to fight for redistricting in my state because that would be wrong. To play politics, to play real politics, to engage in the realpolitik, well, that would just be against our principles. And I had a conversation with an LDS guy, great dude, about this and about the use of state force, libertarianism. It was in the aftermath of our Jacob Hansen discussion. And he says, well, if we are to legislate about pornography, well, would that not enable the left? Would that not enable the left to do the same thing and use these new restrictions on freedom of expression to restrict us? I always think about how Democrats are going to be using that. And I said, they already do, dude. What did Republicans do to warrant the left cracking down on free speech on social media platforms like YouTube, like Twitter, like X? Well, Twitter being X. Now X is free, but Twitter before. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Almost every streaming platform before a couple of years ago. What did we ever do? Instagram, Facebook. What did we do to deserve that? How did we use the heavy hand, the gun that is the state? What did we do to oppress Democrats that caused them to restrict our basic and fundamental freedom of speech? The answer? Nothing. They did it anyway. They're exerting force to make their worldview a reality. We just won't do the same. And in which world are your kids going to have a better time? The one where we allow them to wield the power of the state and we do nothing and we sit around like idiots with our hands tied, with our fingers in our noses, sucking on our thumbs? Don't do that. That's not fair. I didn't do that. Are we serious right now? It's like, I mean, come on. Whether you like it or not, this started. Whether you like it or not, and frankly, I kind of dislike it. I kind of dislike that Governor Greg Abbott, had to get his, nosy self into the business of redistricting, and now this has caused this tidal wave around the country where different states are doing the same thing. But it started. We did fire a shot, and it was heard around the country, and now you have to play ball. Now we don't get, as Republican states, to sit back and say, well, I'm not going to do it out of, this principled concern that I have, so that the Democrats don't. The Democrats are already going to do it. They are already going to do it. You have to fight. Now you fight. Regardless of who fired the starting shot, you could disagree with it. I do. But regardless of who fired the starting shot, you're now engaged in a conflict. And no amount of electoral pacifism is going to help save our country, or is going to convince the Democrats that they should not fight us tooth and nail. It's impossible. I'm sorry. It's a pipe dream. Give it up. If you care about the country, fight for it. You know what's hilarious? Democrats have to adopt the language of the right in order to appeal more to people who are like normal Americans. They have to start casting themselves the way that Destiny does, the way that and I actually like him, but Adam Mockler. They have to start saying, well, the left is actually the party of the Constitution and of American ideas and principles. Does anybody believe that for a second? These people want to get rid of half the amendments that exist. These people tear down statues of the founding fathers. Do we really believe they're the American party? Really? But yet Republicans who truly believe those things, Republicans who stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The party that believes, or the people that believe every single word of that Pledge of Allegiance are the ones that are so much less willing to do anything about it. Democrats don't even believe it. They'll just adopt the language and use it as like a weapon against the right because we are incapable of engaging on grounds that are not, entirely libertarian. And someday there will be a vote held about whether or not young right-wing children, Jay Jones is going to hold that vote. Should young right-wing children be killed in the womb so that we can stop fascism? That was like the precedent that the idea of the authoritarian personality created. The authoritarian personality? Oh, so like literally every one of us? All right, we're looking it up. Just so you guys know. The authoritarian personality. Let's see here. And of course you have a bunch of these kind of reductive ways of looking at it. Read through the lines. Read in between the lines and see if they're not just trying to describe all of us. Blind allegiance to conventional beliefs about right and wrong. Oh, Christianity? The moral foundation of the country? Respect for submission to acknowledged authority. So, like, recognizing that you have, like, governments above you or ecclesiastical authority. Belief in aggression towards those who do not subscribe to conventional thinking or who are different. Now, this is one where it's like most of us would say, yeah. It's like, yeah, I mean, no, but look at the way that they define aggression. What's aggression to these people? Aggression is like not using pronouns. That is what they qualify as violence against them. How easy is it then to cast every single, even moderate Republican as an authoritarian personality type, one who is going to inevitably cause the rise of fascism in the United States? That's the rhetoric they use. That's like the most classic thing ever. And I know it's trite to say, but you have to understand, when people call you a fascist, what they mean by fascist is person I believe violence is justifiable towards. Like a person who could justifiably receive violent actions against them. And it would be totally cool. Anyway, next. A negative view of people in general. The belief that people would all lie, cheat, or steal if given the opportunity. And again, these are maybe dramatic ways of putting it. But suspiciousness about human nature is basically what it is. A need for strong leadership, which displays uncompromising power. And of course, we fall on a spectrum here. Uncompromising is probably a word that most of us would get hung up on. A belief in simple answers and polemics. The media controls us all, or the source of all our problems is the loss of morals these days. Like think about that. Making the claim that our generation is lost. Our generation is clearly lost, man. Because of a decline in Christian morality, this is the authoritarian personality. Resistance to creative, dangerous ideas. A black and white worldview. So basically just conservatism. Conservatism is authoritarian personality. a tendency to project one's own feelings of inadequacy, rage, and fear onto a scapegoated group. Now, this is where I think this is much more attributable, not to do the whole like the left wing are the real fascists, but that's where, you know, the feelings of inferiority map far better onto people who are kind of liberal more in their political leanings. And then a preoccupation with violence and sex. You believe in banning pornography? Why are you so preoccupied with sex? You don't think that, you know, any kind of sexual relationship is tolerable or good or positive for a society? Why are you so preoccupied with sex? Are you Hitler too? Is there a red armband that I'm missing? The authoritarian personality, something that comes obviously in line with and out of the Frankfurt School, was a way of basically casting any normal American from the 1960s and prior as a villain who could contribute to the rise of another Hitler. And it is the framework for discrimination against conservative beliefs. So, yeah. This is, yeah, it's just frustrating, man. It is just, it's just tough. This is the world we live in, and, you know, I wish it was easier. I wish Trump well, but I think we do have to realize that we have to move on, and him lashing out at MTG the way that he has is, frankly, proof that he is not willing to let it go. And I think that's dangerous. I think a MAGA that is not willing to divorce itself from Trump in some way. And I don't think it's like a total disavowal of everything he's ever done. I don't think that's necessary. He's incredibly important. There's no way you could divorce him from United States or conservative history. It's impossible. It wouldn't be good to. But you have to be able to realize that the paradigm of trusting the plan no matter what, it just doesn't work when the person you are trusting, when the plan you are trusting is not internally consistent. And frankly, it's like the plan relies a lot more on a lot of unnamed staffers than it relies on Trump himself. And to that extent, the Trump revolution allowed those people to be in power, to be in politics, and that's good. But it's not feasible. It's not tenable for the future. So anyway, I don't know. Dude, I'm wiped. I'm pooped. I'm tired. Give me a break. I still gotta go to the gym. My calves really hurt. I gotta take off my tie. I think we're gonna wrap the show up there. It was not at all the monologue I was planning on, and maybe not my best at all. But if there is a message, just be sure to prioritize your personal integrity. Do your best. Pray. Take accounts. Do accounting with God. Talk about your pitfalls. I do that every night. I have a long list. And remember that there is nobody deserving. If there are people who are inconsistent on moral issues that frankly are not just like, and again, this is, dude, okay. Closing statement, fellas. We're locking in. Closing statement. There are some issues that you cannot change positions on once you have seen the correct take on the issue. Once you've become privy to the necessary information to come up with a solution for many of the problems in this country, whether they be through like issues of immigration or economics or anything like that, you cannot simply just walk it back because it became unpopular. Because no matter what you think, the solution is totally the same. The problems have not changed. The solutions have not changed. Sure, public opinion may change, but that's not going to change the things that are necessary to save the country, the acts that are necessary. It's not going to change at all the trajectory that we are on. In fact, it might make it worse if it does change it at all. And that is why these, like the walkbacks from Trump are just, They cannot be tolerated. It's not enough to put like this soft pressure on him. He knows. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he never knew. That would be better. It is better for him to walk back these things because he doesn't understand them than to know what the issues are, advocate for their solutions, and then walk it back. And I don't think that all the parties in this are like completely guiltless, right? There's guilt everywhere. Marjorie Taylor Greene was just talking about the need for migrant labor to help with agricultural needs. But guess what? Trump did the exact same thing. This is the richest thing in the world. Marjorie Taylor Greene turns on Trump. What's the line of attack against Marjorie Taylor Greene? Well, here's a clip of Marjorie when she was arguing in favor of migrants taking jobs in the agricultural field or within, labor pools doing agricultural type labor or in the service industry. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about how those people need to come over to do these jobs because we just don't have the Americans to do them. Trump says that every other week. Trump flips on this issue every other week. And Stephen Miller as well. Even the people who are not, the president, the people who we're supposed to believe are all just based and silent behind the scenes, even they flip on these issues. That's not okay. And so if you see anybody posting this, I'm actually going to tweet that after this. When you see anybody posting this clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene, remind them this is exactly what the president says. And in the same way that it is grossly irresponsible for MTG to say something like that, it is grossly irresponsible for the president of the United States to say that. And we're not putting up with it. We just can't. You can't put your faith in an unfaithful and an untrustworthy actor. You just can't. We put our faith in God because we can have perfect trust in the fact that he will always be perfectly just, perfectly merciful, perfectly loving. Because were he ever to differ, were he ever to waver, he would cease to be God. It's an impossibility. He wouldn't. And only because of that can we place our perfect faith in him, because he is trustworthy. But yeah, I mean, look, it's like the Psalm. It's like the Psalm. Not to get all Protestant on y'all MFs. Not to get all Protestant on y'all MFs, but it's like Psalm 146. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth. In that very day his thoughts perish. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man. And not the Son of Man capitalized as Christ, but rather any man who is born mortal to a mortal man, and not Christ, again, who was born mortal as well. Not any corruptible man. But yeah, I think that's the show. We got through it. It's buffering still, but it's bearable at least. I really don't know what the problem is. Really don't know what the problem is with that. But hey, now we're on to the best part. You guys get to show your support through your wallets. Early Christmas shopping for your boy kaiclips. If you do like the show, if you'd like to support it, feel free to send in a super chat through Rumble, YouTube, or powerchat.live/kaiclips. And we got a super chat over, voice crack. We got a super chat from Noah Seafree. Hey, what's going on, big dog? Good to see you in the chat, my boy. He says, haircut would go hard with a little hat. I think if I wore one of those, it would make me bald, unironically. I think like just the way it would sit, it would make me bald. Unless I got one like Ben Shapiro, who like it's now just covering his entire head. But yeah, appreciate that, big guy. Money better be going to Wi-Fi before Christmas. Look, man, I hope it does. It's going to go to a bunch of stuff. I actually have a lot of projects that I'm working on, but a big part of it is investing. It's investing in the studio, investing in all kinds of fun things, investing in a new green screen that doesn't get cropped out like in the top corner here. Investing in new gear, new studio equipment, new camera, new lighting, new Wi-Fi, new ball. New ball? New game. Just balling out, just having a fun time. Anyway, we have a super chat here. Oh, actually, we have to go over to the super chat section. Whoa. And listen to what people are saying. Investing in Palantir? Yeah, that's actually what I'm going to do with the money. You figured me out. Every investment here on powerchat.live/kaiclips is going to go straight to Palantir. And or to the stock, rather. Going to make me lots of money when we go to war in Iran. Going to make me lots of money. But here, hold on. There we go. Now we're actually going to be able to hear them. We're going to be able to hear the funny little jingle. Let's see if it works. There we are. What a song. What a song. Hey, Spencer, I love you.
Anonymous sent $5.
Anonymous, I appreciate the $5. I appreciate you very much, big guy. Spencer says, I love you, Kai. I waited 2 years for you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Spencer, for waiting for me. I'm here. In Gate's case, he's accused of being based. Real. He's accused of being too based. Oh, my brothers. My brothers, my brothers, my brothers. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the gym tonight. I have homework to do, and then Oh, I'm just so tired. Twin, I'm tired. Oh, I'm tired, Twin. I just can't do it, man. I don't even know if I'll lift, but I gotta. My leg hurts. Like, I wear these Chelsea boots, but they hurt my feet so much after I walk in them for a while. So I can't really wear them much, and my feet really hurt right now. But I gotta squat. Today's leg day. You can't skip legs. Do you have any thoughts on the Trump Bubba Epstein email, Kai? Do you think it was literal or figurative? I don't think it was literal. I don't think it was literal. It's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm naive. It's very possible. Utah boy. I've seen plenty of Nick Mo's in my day. I haven't done them. Let me be clear. I have not done them. Never, ever, ever. But, and that might make me, I am still naive, and that might be my blind spot here, but I just don't believe that Trump's that guy. I understand, Epstein's a powerful dude, but so is Trump. Trump's like a billionaire New York playboy too. And I don't think, it's like, dude, I think about it this way. If me and all my buddies were billionaires, we would not just like want to start having oral sex or be gay. It's like, I just don't think, I don't buy this idea that like everybody's a closeted homosexual. They're just closeted until they get rich enough. Me, like the gay gene activating in my brain. The codon, the chain of codons activating as soon as I get my billionth dollar to make me homosexual. Almost a Freudian slip there. Yeah, I just don't think that's the case. I think it was also, I feel like in so many of these chats, people overestimate the importance of most of these emails. I have to read through them though. They are though. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of them are, but they're like, being pedophiles is way more likely than being gay. It's like, are they sus? For sure they're sus. But are they gay? I really don't think so. I don't think so. Trump is strictly a heterosexual gooner. I tend to err on that side. Yeah, you have to do humiliating things to become a billionaire in the current system. I don't even necessarily agree with that. I mean, yeah, sometimes. Or you could just like invest a lot of money or come from a rich real estate family. It is not that difficult at a certain point of wealth to accrue more and more wealth. I don't think you have to like do these crazy and crazier things. It is not as if like there are 5 rich people who disperse their wealth only to people who are willing to do like the most crazy gay things. That's just not how it is. Like this, what JD Vance did, right? managing portfolios, these kind of lucrative deals and trades and whatnot. I don't really think, admittedly, maybe the investments, you have to concede some things that are a little sussy, but I don't even think so. So I think being gay comes from snorting the white powder. Is that the gay powder? Is that what it is? Cryptocurrency billionaires don't count, for the record. Well, why wouldn't they? Like, why are they immune? Like, if somebody can get rich off of trading stocks or being a hedge fund manager, if somebody can get really rich off of that, it's like kind of even a similar thing, like managing money, managing investments, crypto or otherwise. Crypto or like physical assets. If somebody can get really rich doing that, why is it like, why do the ones who do it digitally, like, why are they exempt from that? And why are the ones that do it physically or with physical assets, why are they not? That would be my question. It's like, they're all sus. They're all sus. Because the big difference is once you're at that amount of wealth, you're likely not religious. You're likely not sincerely religious. There are very few extremely rich, sincerely religious people. So you're much likely to do degenerate things, but I don't think you just become gay. Like, what is it, like this inside joke of like, I'm rich, you're rich, you and me, we can do gay stuff. That means you and me, we can do gay stuff, actually, is what it actually is almost implied. It's almost like once you enter like the billionaire club or like the president club, like once you become a senator or president, that actually means like everybody just becomes gay. It's like, you didn't know that? I don't buy it. Yeah, for a guy like JD Vance at private equity, it takes zero skills to get rich. That's the thing. It's like, I don't think he had to be a homosexual to get the job that he has. You know, in Hollywood, totally different thing. You're talking to me about Hollywood, totally different deal. Music, Hollywood, I 100% agree with you. But just like making a lot of money in private equity, don't think so. How the homie look at you when you hit it big, yeah. When you and your homie split the when you split your winning lottery ticket, your Powerball ticket with the homie so that you guys can both be gay instead of just you. They think themselves as gods. Very true. Very true. That's the big issue too. It's this usurping of God. That's the problem. That's why I don't like this Brian Johnson guy. Did his YouTube video air? Did the Jubilee video with Brian Johnson air? That might actually be cool to check out. If that's up. Pro versus anti-Ozempic? That's crazy. Political violence roundtable? I kind of want to watch that. Surrounded Jubilee. The last one's 20 boomer Trump supporters versus 1 Gen Z liberal. All right. All right, guys. What's going on? Oh.
Yeah. Well, then he's a threat to our republic. But by the way, republic is a representative form of democratic.
You know, this is where this is the first lie. So there's even a lie in the question. That's why it's hard for me to argue a lie in the question.
Google after this is over. And what you're saying is incorrect because we live in a democratic system, and that system is a representative
Well, it's
republic.
not even democratic when you've got all these liberal states that don't allow us to present an ID to vote. Kamala Harris won.
Dude.
Kamala, you have to know the pronunciation right now.
I'll say what I'll call.
I hate when people get like so quirked up about pronunciations of names.
Or what I want to call her. Okay. She only won.
Simultaneously, I hate when people say names wrong. Zohran Mamdani, it's like you can say that guy's name right.
In states where there's no voter ID laws, how is it a democracy when
the voter ID stuff? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. It's like I'm in favor of voter ID laws, but it's way overstated. Maybe you guys are gonna kill me for that. The voter ID stuff is like hugely important. Like I'm in favor of passing it universally, of course. But I don't know. Yeah. Logistically, I think it's a very interesting question. I don't know.
To pick your presidential candidate, how is that a democracy?
We did. There were primaries.
No, there wasn't.
And then
no, they installed
no, you're
her.
right. The parties
they
are an
installed
organization.
her.
That's actually true. Yeah, she did.
The parties
get
are
installed.
an organization, and then they can choose their candidate. I disagree. I would love to.
You know what she needs to hit him with? This is what you say. Why are we doing a reaction stream right now? When did this become a reaction stream? Anyway, this is the last thing I'll say. When somebody hits you with that, when somebody hits you with the classic, we have primaries, you know what you hit them with? Okay, well, what was it? Well, what was it that happened in 2016? Because as I recall, Bernie Sanders should have won the primary. He should have been the candidate for the Democratic Party. What's this about super delegates? Hey, Mr. Democrat man, what's this about super delegates? How does that protect democratic processes? And he would probably say, oh, you're right about that. But it's like, dude, you're defending Democrats. Like, the jig is up. You guys don't care about democracy. The problem is in these Jubilee setups, I feel like I say that too much. I say that the problem is, there's so many problems. The problems happen to be, there are several, but one of them happens to be that on Jubilee, you don't have to defend a position ever. These people, they make their claim and then they don't actually have to defend anything other than like specific words. They don't have to defend like the candidate for their party, even though none of us, we were conservatives. We just said we're college conservatives. And none of us went out there like saying I'm 100% like diehard MAGA Trump supporter, but we were made to defend Trump. And that's the problem. Is this guy doesn't have to defend the Democrats for anything. He can disagree with everything they do. To the point where it's like, well, why am I even debating you? I'm debating the devil's advocate. I'm debating a sophist. But he is able to get these really easy dunks. So anyway,
to make sure every single.
Admittedly, here to be fair about it, here they are called 20 Boomer Trump supporters. But the idea, reasonably, is that the Trump supporters are juxtaposed to a supporter for Kamala Harris, the way that he's talking about it.
Democratic primary is very, very democratic. But
very, very democratic, by the way. Super democratic, how super delegates, what the flip are even those? Super delegates get to decide that Hillary Clinton becomes the nominee in 2016 because she and the rest of her family spent millions of dollars on the DNC.
That's all.
And on Democrats in general and adjacent political movements.
Interesting topic. You said your point. Do you have a defense of? I guess you're saying do you not care because you don't think we live in a democracy? That would be strange to me.
No, we're in a constitutional republic because it's not the 51% that tells the 49% what to do. That's mob rule.
Go Google later.
And look at if the mob wants to kill this person, innocent person.
I hated this semantic argument.
Absolute democracy. You're right. We don't live in an absolute democracy, but we have a representative republic. Governed by the Constitution, which is a democratic system. But whatever.
We're not even equal branches of government either. That's another
whatever
lie.
You feel, are you okay with what I've been bringing up before? Him ignoring due process?
No, he's not. Okay, I have...
Carter says, when they did your episode, there was a total mismatch between Mehdi only yapping about Trump and most debating him weren't Trump supporters. Exactly. We weren't Trump supporters. It wasn't Mehdi Hasan versus 20 Trump supporters, but he made all of his prompts basically about Trump except the immigration issue. And even on the immigration issue, he framed it around Trump. So, yeah.
4 friends that were locked up. Let me finish.
Oh, gosh.
So the 4 friends. Now, one of them.
Yeah, I'm not going through that.
Let me just.
I'm not going through that.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
I'm not going through that.
Someone was breaking the window of the Capitol.
Again, he doesn't care. He doesn't have to talk about anything. He doesn't have to actually respond to any question at all. Anything that might invalidate his worldview, he can just shrug that off. That doesn't matter. I'm here to talk about Trump. My brother in Christ. More people exist in the world than Trump.
You can even hear the crowd saying Antifa, Antifa. Oh, no. Did the fake media show that? No, my friend was
Boomer MAGA Republicans, though, are insufferable. I'll admit.
And guess which one went
to
jail?
Let's say they're Antifa. Then why did Trump pardon the Antifa?
No, they didn't pardon.
I hate this guy's shtick.
No,
I shouldn't say hate so much, but I don't like this guy's shtick at all.
There was one guy that got a taser, and I was not okay with that.
What about beating people with flagpoles? What about stomping on a police officer's head?
Oh, I never saw that.
Oh, really?
Okay?
I want to follow this guy on TikTok. I want to see. Also, I thought that they weren't supposed to take notes in. Like, it was my understanding that they couldn't take notes in, but let's just say in the new episode, they certainly did. and he did here. Like he just looked the guy's name. So I don't know. Anyway. Okay, Boomer.
If we're gonna have, and no media said that was
Luke
true.
Beasley.
It is not in the
Let's
interest
see.
of democracy for violence to be how we go about. The reason I'm opposed to people trying to assassinate Trump, the guy who assassinated Charlie Kirk,
against
all of that
violence, too.
is against our peaceful democratic process. So is giving a reward to people, honoring people in a sense by pardoning them specifically. Then we can move on to the other people.
They didn't get due process. They were locked up.
Oh my
They
gosh,
didn't
they
get to
were.
present. No, I'm not going to go by the fake media that has lied to us
Media?
over and
what
over.
about the video of someone boom, boom onto a police officer's head?
And I don't know who that
Why
was.
can't you just
but
say
it probably was an Antifa member because those people admitted that they were paid to do that.
Wait,
okay, I know. You know what? I ran a rally in Beverly Hills, and I had a detective that was watching over me. He gave me a picture of Antifa saying.
So after he lost his court cases, then he tried to get people who weren't the lawful electors to fraudulently claim themselves to be, so that Mike Pence could pretend those were the real ones, and then he could stay in power. It is true that he ultimately left office. People were talking about, is Secret Service going to have to rip him out? Is the military going to have to? We can't say just because someone fails at something, it's not bad that they tried it.
Well, I mean, I could say this, like right now, he's a legally Democratic elected president right now.
True.
And I promise you, when his term is up, no matter what, and someone else wins, he's going to willingly leave that office. Now,
I'm just so dude. Can you guys not to get crazy for a minute, but can you guys imagine the post-Trump political discourse, man? I'm tearing up just thinking about it. I mean, yeah, there's awesome moments, there's memes, but it's like, I can't wait. I can't wait until we talk about, what we actually stand for. I can't wait until we can talk about values and worldviews and not just like one guy. I can't wait. I can't wait until I'm not going to have to answer for like what Trump ate for breakfast yesterday. I can't wait for that day. I can't wait for the day that I'm not going to have to respond to what Trump said on Poop Social a billion years ago in perpetuity. Who will fill the vacuum? I don't know. I hope we just have ideology. I hope we, instead of just people, can we just talk about moral worldviews? That's what I want. I really just want to be able to say, this moral worldview is going to cause this. This moral worldview is going to cause that. I wish we could do that. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to is these worldviews, the ways of doing politics, of seeing politics. That's what matters. Oh, man. All right, guys. Guys, I'm getting tired. I think I got to end the stream. What do we, guys? Actually? But yeah, it's like, can you just imagine it? It's going to be incredible. Anyway. Make politics boring again? That's kind of facts, ironically. I love that. I want that too, but American politics is always my guy versus your guy. Yeah, I don't think it's ever been as bad as it is now. I don't think it's, yeah. Anyway. Love you guys. I'm glad you stuck around. Appreciate all of you for doing that. Appreciate all of you guys for bearing with the less than optimal stream. But I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I hope you sleep well. Hope you tell your parents you love them. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.